Thanks so much for joining us, Sarah and Sara. First things first, we're coming back to school after a long period of time. I think everyone who's watching this right now would love to know about the safety measures that are being put in place here. So let's start with that. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, so we obviously take our guidance from the KHGA and the Ministry of Health. So all schools have installed thermal cameras. We've also had sanitising units put into all classrooms.
Okay.
All of our students will have to adhere to the social distancing, so we've put signage in place, directional signage and also the 2-metre distancing in place as well.
Right, so I think globally the conversation is taking place right now is about the classroom of the future. Everyone's talking about remote learning, distance learning, but for the near future in Wellington, how exactly are we going to see the classrooms different? What are the changes that are going to be brought about in these new classrooms?
So actually for the students, it's going to be an incredible experience because actually there's going to be much fewer students in the classrooms.
Yeah.
So our youngest students, our foundation stage students and year 1 students, there will only be 10 children in a stable bubble, which means that they have access to all of those resources in one classroom and obviously then have more space to be able to learn. And then our slightly older students will be in stable bubbles of 15, so no more than 15 students. So actually it's going to be really exciting for the children because previously there would be 22 in a class. Actually the stable bubbles provide that safe space for them to be able to socially distance, but also to be able to have those interactions with their friends and obviously with their class teachers and teaching assistants.
But when you're talking about school, conventionally, traditionally, schools have been a place where we all come together, at least when I was going to school. But that's going to change now. Like you said, there are going to be much lesser students in the classrooms. So how exactly is GEMS trying to maintain that warm, welcoming environment for all of these young learners, especially that are going to come back this autumn?
So wellbeing is obviously a real priority for all of our schools. Children have been off for a long time and trying to reintegrate back. We're conscious, of course, it's not just their academics that we're going to focus on. We've obviously socialisation and we were talking earlier, the big part of coming to school is having friends and having fun, and we want to make sure that we're still doing that with our children. People have already started, so some of our schools have already had virtual classroom meetings where children have met each other to start to say, oh, hi, I'm going to be in your class, starting to really build that community. From the point of view of our staff as well, so let's not forget, of course, our staff have also not been on site for quite a considerable amount of time.
You've just mentioned you've come back after 4 months is it? After March?
Absolutely,
the first time you're coming in, yeah.
So for me, being the first time back in a school as well, I'm trying to get used to it. So it's actually been quite good because now I can see it through the eyes of people who are reintegrating.
You are providing the option of remote learning, aren't you? So there's obviously going to be this disparity between the students who are learning from school because they get a more hands-on experience versus the students who are learning from back home. So how are you going to make sure that they get the same kind of education training during the initial courses?
So, educational technology has accelerated because of this pandemic, and our chairman's priority is to make sure that GEMS is at the forefront of educational technology. So our teachers now are highly skilled and are able to deliver live sessions to the students in class at the same time as delivering live sessions to the students at home. So the children's experience, whether they're in school or outside of school, will be very, very similar.
Right, so over here you mainly cater to the early learners, and again we've seen a lot of parents who think that sending the early learners to school or focusing or emphasizing on their education is probably not as important as doing so for the older students. So are there certain parenting strategies that you would like to advise when it comes to this sort of mindset?
For the reason it's called the foundation stage is because it lays the foundations for a child's education, and actually it's really important that our youngest children get back to school. Part of their curriculum is to be able to socialise with their friends, develop their communication and language with their friends and their peers. It's really important that they have the opportunity to be able to access personal, social and emotional development. So advice for parents would be try not to project your anxiety onto your child and trust the educators, trust GEMS. We know what we're doing and we're making sure that our youngest students come back to school safely.
Grace, thanks for those valuable insights, and we're all really excited to see what this new school is going to look like, how the new education system is going to pan out. So thanks again for joining us here, Sara, Sarah, and thank you. And I hope all of you all keep positive and test negative.